Today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at Hasbro Star Wars Command Star Destroyer. I know Spot's a little late on reviewing one of these, but decided to pick it up anyways and give it a try. Comes with Luke Skywalker, which is an exclusive, Darth Vader, and it is radio controlled. Do you even use the word? Yes, you do. No, you don't. It says remote control. I don't even know if you would say radio control anymore. That sounds so 80s. This toy is recommended for ages 5 and up. And what's weird though is it says ages 5 and up, only available in this set. So maybe other sets would have been better, I don't know. It also says for indoor use only. Well, I can do that. That's easy enough. It requires batteries. It does. It requires 4 AA batteries, 2 AAA batteries, which I think I have. This boy up at the top corner is showing us how it works. It goes forward, it goes reversed, and it goes fire. And I'll try to demonstrate that as best I can. Above and beyond Luke and Vader, if I flip over the top of the box, there's also other figures available. There's some Rebel troopers and some Stormtroopers. You know, if we even exclude this part out, the Star Destroyer actually is pretty decent. I'm just saying, I'm just throwing that out there. We flip around the back of the box. Star Destroyer, take charge and command your battle. Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker leads the rebels in a final assault against the Galactic Empire. Will you wield the power of the dark side or launch your Star Destroyer to crush the rebellion? Or will you embrace your destiny as Luke Skywalker, confront Darth Vader, and bring the Empire to its knees? There are other sets available. Now I know this line is pretty much, but there are other sets available. There's some Ewoks with an AT-ST and an X-Wing. And for the original, well, for the fans of the Clone Wars and all that other stuff, you got this set right here. It looks like it comes with Obi-Wan. I don't know, some Jedis. But then moving back into cool again. Still kind of in that, I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's Epic Assault, Final Battle. And then the Millennium Falcon. That would have also been a neat set to get. Even if, excluding the figures and stuff, the vehicles are pretty cool for like little strategy games. I would totally do that. www.starwars.com is your destination. You can go to also www.starwars.hasbro.com if you want to check out other pieces that Hasbro are making for Star Wars. Having said that, Spot's going to take a break. I know, again, Spot got a little behind on reviewing this, but going to take a break, going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Star Wars Command Star Destroyer. There's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Well, they weren't kidding. Some assembly is required. Luckily, the folks over at Hasbro give you a manual, a little instruction guide showing you how to put together the Star Destroyer. Star Destroyer looks like it's only, what, 5 pieces? The main base, well, the main base, the top, then the top of the Star Destroyer, and then the side. So yeah, 5 pieces. You also get yourself the remote control. I'll show you guys that in a second as well. And it shows you how to fill it. Well, it looks like I have some mild assembly required, but fear not, Spot will figure this out. We'll take a break, come right back. Don't go anywhere. Well, it didn't take very long for me to put the Star Destroyer together before we have a look at how that works. Let's have a look at the little figurines that come with this set. For starters, we have Darth Vader, which is painted more so in like a pewter color than black. It's kind of a little bit jarring to kind of see Darth Vader in like a silver color rather than the traditional black, but at least his lightsaber is painted in red. On the flip end of it, we've got Luke Skywalker. I'm guessing now from, obviously, Return of the Jedi, because his lightsaber is green, and he is gold. I don't know why they couldn't have painted him. They opted just to paint him all gold rather than, you know, like a black or, you know, something. Just gold seems a little jarring. But they're not bad pieces. For a sculpt, they're not too bad. And then each one of them have their own men, so to speak. It's essentially like army men. You got a couple of rebel soldiers. One's kind of crouching down, one's standing upright, pointing his gun, and you kind of got two of those same kind of guys. And they're painted in blue. Luke is painted a little bit different in color, I guess just so they're not all the exact same color. And then for Darth Vader gets two standing stormtroopers. And then he also gets his own crouching stormtrooper. Now this line didn't do very well, and I think I can see the reasoning for it is because it's a different generation. I think this kind of generation, this kind of toy would have fared better, to be honest, I think in like the mid 80s. Because we used to have stuff like this. You know, when I was growing up, we had PVC pre-posed Star Wars characters, and then they had like their little like a base or a little display piece that you could put them all in there. And I had a couple of them. There was one from Return of the Jedi. I think there was one from Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars. The one I had was, I believe, from Star Wars. It wasn't the one with the actual garbage compactor from A New Hope. I think it was just Empire Strikes Back. But it came with like a Han, a Luke, possibly even a Leia and a Chewbacca. But I think they were more metal pieces than they were plastic. This kind of stuff, though, I think would gear itself better to probably like an 80s kids. And maybe why they didn't do so well in stores. Kids nowadays are all like electronics. Everything is electronics. That sets as cool and potentially successful as this line could have been, I think was just maybe geared at the wrong time period. Before we have a look at the remote control, and Spot's put the AAA batteries in the back of the remote control. And I've also gone ahead and I've put the batteries on the underside compartment. It takes 4 AA batteries there. You also get a couple of little orbs, little shooting orbs that will shoot out from the Death Star. I'll show you, or Star Destroyer. I'll show you guys that in a second. But we'll just move these little figurines out of the way because I know they're going to get knocked over. Probably this is something that Spot also could have done on an actual floor as opposed to this backdrop. But the Millennium, boy oh boy, the Star Destroyer is actually pretty impressive. There's not a lot of paint to it. You know, it doesn't really have a lot of paint to it. But where it does make up for it is a really neat looking sculpt. There are some areas where it's darker gray, but the majority of it is just a light gray color. The top looks a lot better, I think, than the side. The side you see a lot of extra stuff, just extra beef, because of where the motor and the wheels are going to work. But I think it's a pretty neat looking Star Destroyer, even really from a model perspective. If you had just this on a shelf, I think would look pretty cool as well. So you probably will see, or there was a red light that was at the top here. It just communicates itself with the remote. Again, I'll show you guys that in a second. But to fill it, you're going to take the top of the Star Destroyer and lift it up. And then you're going to take the little green orbs, and they can just slide into place just like that. They just sit on this track like that and like that. And the last one always seems to kind of jostle around a little bit. You can close this off, and the Star Destroyer is loaded. Anyways, so we're going to move these pieces out of the way. And if you look at the instructions again, past the assembly instructions, it shows you how to use the remote control. The remote control actually is pretty responsive as well. What you want to do is hold the remote. So you've got, this is basically the receiver on the end here, and that communicates with the Star Destroyer. What you want to do though is hold, and it fits actually pretty easy. And I don't have big sausage-sized fingers, but still it holds pretty good in my hands. It's not awkward or uncomfortable or anything like that. So what you want to do is, as indicated by the instructions, you want to charge angle up, and then this button really activates all the commands. So when you move up, you want to point it up while pressing the button. Down, again, you're just going to tip it down and press the button. And then to fire, you want to flip it upside down and to press the button. And again, I'll try to show you how this works. We're going to obviously make a mess. I just see myself right now making a big mess out of this. So I've already taken the liberty, I've already turned it on. It is on right now, and as soon as you press the button, maybe I actually do have to reset it. There we go. See the red button on the top there? This responds then to the button. And when you press the button forward, again, this is gonna, it's gonna come towards me. You're gonna press the button and you're gonna tip it forward. So press the button and tip it forward. And again, I tipped it back, and you see how the Star Destroyer tips back and forward, back, forward, and then you can, you know, steer it that way. Or what you can also do, as I love tracks everywhere on this, take the remote, once again, press the button, but you want to angle it this way. And when you angle it this way, just again, keep an eye for the balls. The Star Destroyer is going to separate out, and then it's going to fire balls this way into oblivion. I'm going to kind of just put my hand in the way, so hopefully it'll block and it's not going to veer off course too much. You're going to take your remote, once again, pressing the button forward, back, direction, but to fire it, you're going to spin it upside down, and watch what it does. And then each time you press the button, it fires off those orbs. And actually that went a lot better than I expected it was going to be. And it fires off these orbs. It doesn't close itself off again. You actually have to take it and push the two components back together. Sometimes they don't always fit well together, but you can get it back to its regular state. And then once again, just flip this up. Your orbs go back in there, and you're ready to go again. Now, again, this line didn't do all that well, and I can see the reasoning why it didn't do so well. This is a great gimmick. I think this would work really cool, that kids technically should get into, but I think it was just geared at the wrong time. Like little statues like this, I think are something that myself, if I was to get into this back in the 80s, or maybe even like the early 90s, I would have probably really loved these sets. I like the little miniature builds, and especially like, maybe not so much like the actual characters, but the vehicles. If I could have gotten like little AT-AT vehicles and AT-ST vehicles and TIE Fighter vehicles, I would have probably just played with those as a kid. That I think this line would have really geared towards me. I think the problem is, as cool as the electronics are, and as cool as this opening up and firing, orbs out, that is really neat. But I think this generation just doesn't get into this kind of stuff. I think as soon as a kid's like 4 or 5 years old, they're already on a cell phone playing games that, a motorized Star Destroyer probably isn't going to be their cup of tea. Now, granted, if there was a Star Destroyer phone app where you could shoot things, people probably would be all over it. So, to defend in some regards this toy line, I think this toy line could have done well. I think it just came at the wrong time to be a success. For that reason, I think it's a fun set. Like, if you're I would even go as far as to say, if you're an adult, and these you could probably find in the prices getting marked down and stuff like that. If you like the PVC pieces, I would even go out and just find like the sets. Maybe came with a couple of characters, but more importantly, like the little TIE Fighters and the AT-STs. That would be really cool to just kind of have on a shelf. Or, if you can get into some sort of strategic battle thing, that would be kind of cool. These larger vehicles, if you can find them at a good price, I would say don't overlook them. As a little fun gift for someone who loves Star Wars, I think they're neat. Why the line died? Well, I think it has a lot to do with just the sign of the times. Kids nowadays just aren't crazy about this kind of stuff anymore. Today's Toy Spot, though, we're having a look at the Star Wars Command set, and we're having a look today at the Star Destroyer. It's a shame that this line just didn't do well. I think the line had potential, but again, just geared towards the wrong age at the wrong time. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more Toy Spots heading your way. Thanks for watching, as you always do. I'll see you next time.